You just got yourself a copy of Just Roll With It. Congratulations! You're about to start an adventure that might, just might, change the course of your life. Inside the book is a realm called Glimmerwood, a darkness to defeat and a hero to become. And that hero will be you. Now, the journal teaches you everything one day at a time, a little bit each day on purpose so that it never feels like too much. But maybe you're more of a visual learner. Maybe reading a stack of instructions still feels like a lot. And that's exactly what this video is for. Stick with me, and by the end you'll know everything you need to know to get started on your journey. So here's the big idea in one breath. Just Roll With It is a habit-building journal wearing the costume of a fantasy role-playing game. Every real-world habit that you build, going to the gym, writing, meditating, reaching out to a friend, makes your character stronger inside the story. Your goal in the realm is to become a hero worthy of facing the darkness. Your goal in real life is to become a little more like the person that you want to be. And those turn out to be the same goal. For this video, we'll go in the same order that the book does in terms of introducing the instructions. So let's dive in. Step 1 is picking a character class. But before you can do that well, you need to know what you're actually here to work on. So we'll start with the Farseer potion. Flip to the Farseer potion page and find task 1. The story calls it a magic potion that lets you see into the future. In practice, it's just a quiet moment with a drink that you find stimulating or soothing. Coffee, tea, whatever you like. Now take a few minutes and picture your ideal self a few years out, following the prompts written on the page. At the end, you'll be asked to boil down your reflection to a single word that really captures the essence of your reflection. Something like creativity, strength, focus, resilience, balance. That word is going to be your calling, your North Star for the whole journey. Now it's time to pick our class. So turn to the roster of heroes. Now there are 7 playable character classes, and each one comes with a set of recommended callings, plus a special skill and a starting max HP. Take a moment to read through all 7. Find the class whose recommended callings most closely match the word that you just wrote. And a quick important note, the match doesn't have to be perfect. These are guidelines, not rules. Just trust your gut and pick the class that feels right based on everything you just wrote. Now it's time to turn to your character sheet and fill it out. Come up with a name for your character. It can be anything. Write down your class, which you just chose, your skill, which is just a small bonus that sort of varies from class to class, and your calling, that one word from earlier. Then note down your max HP from your class and your starting attack and defense stats. For most classes, those start at 0. Only the fighter and paladin begin with an attack or defense bonus due to their skill. But don't worry about those yet too much. We'll get there in the combat section. Now, it's time to choose some practices. If your calling gives you a direction, your practices are how you actually walk towards it. So head back to the Farseer potion and complete task 2. Here you'll write down a handful of practices, behaviors, activities, and habits that you'd like to work on in the coming months, related to that reflection from task 1. So just follow the prompts listed in that task and see what you can come up with. But before you do, I want to say that you're not necessarily bound by your calling. For example, a bard with a calling of creativity might write, practice music, or journal, or learn to make digital art. However, that same person could also add, go to the gym, or improve my diet. You can pick really anything that helps you become the hero of your own story. These practices are going to be the raw material for your daily loop, which is exactly where we're going to head next. Now this, the quest log, is the heart of the whole journal. It's where each day actually happens. Let me walk you around one page. On your very first page, set your starting values. Level 1, gold 0, resolve 0, and HP equal to your max HP. Now you're going to carry these forward as they change. Here's the core loop, and honestly, if you remember nothing else, just remember this. Each morning, write down 1 to 3 practices you intend to do that day. Live your day, then come back in the evening or the following morning and see how you did. That's it. That's the engine. The book layers more magic and adventure on top, but if you ever feel lost, come back to this. Write your practices, do your practices, check in. It's that simple. Completing your practices primarily impacts your resolve, which is tracked here. If you complete all the practices that you wrote down for the day, your resolve goes up by 1. If you miss even one of them, it goes down by 1. It maxes out at 3 and never drops below 0. Notice the wording that I just used. It's all the practices that you wrote down. So if you only write down one practice and you do it, that's a win. Resolve rewards keeping your word to yourself, not biting off more than you can chew. Now, why does resolve matter? Well, because it decides which foes you're even allowed to fight, but we'll cover that in detail later. For now, just know, doing what you said you'd do makes your hero braver. But resolve isn't the only thing you track here. 3 more stats live on this page. Experience points, XP, run as tick marks around the border of the page. Every 30 XP you gain a level, up to level 10. Hit points, HP, sit at the bottom in the heart icon. That's your health, and it's capped at your max HP. And gold, GP, sits in your purse, also at the bottom of the page. Every day you turn to a fresh quest log page and carry your running totals forward. So your level tracker, your HP, and your gold pick up right where you left off. One more thing on the page, the routine wheel. Beyond your practices, there are 5 optional daily routines, the everyday self-care of an adventurer. The first 3 are reflect, journaling, writing, so on, train, move your body, get active, set camp, tidying up your space, and all of these earn you XP. The next 2 are preparing meals, cooking something nourishing that feels good, and sleeping, getting at least 8 hours or however much you need, both of which earn you HP. No matter how many routines you complete, you can earn at most 1 bonus XP and 1 bonus HP from them. They're a gentle nudge towards taking care of yourself, not the main event. And I just want to give a quick reassurance before we leave this page. You don't have to use the journal every single day. Daily is ideal. Glimmerwood is on the brink of destruction after all, but every couple of days is completely fine. Your resolve only takes a hit if you write practices down and then don't follow through on them. Skipping a day costs you nothing. The only real rule is keep your promises on the days that you make them. Now to the fun part, the world itself. So turn to the hero's map of Glimmerwood. It's a grid labeled with letters across and numbers down, so every square has coordinates like A1 or B2. You've already been 2 places in the story. The Shrine of Awakening, where you started, and the Fern Frond Tavern. So mark those with an X to show that you've cleared them. Movement is simple. Each day you may move into 1 new square, up, down, left, or right. No diagonal moves. Whenever you enter a new square, jot down its coordinates on today's quest log page so you always know where you are. Now, there's also fast travel. Once a day instead of a normal move, you can instantly jump to any square you've already visited. Think of it as starting your day somewhere else. After you arrive, you can either stay put to finish unfinished business or step into an adjacent square that you haven't yet explored. Now, some squares have a solid brown outline. Those are encounters. When you land on one, mark it with a slash, just something like a /, to show that you've arrived but haven't finished it yet. Then flip to the encounter section in the back and find the entry that matches your coordinate. When you complete the encounter, turn that slash into an X. If you don't finish, leave the slash. It's a reminder that you can come back and try again anytime. Now, squares without a brown outline, you can just mark with an X. You've completed them. But a plain square doesn't mean a boring day. Every time you land on a square with no outline, roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 7 or lower, flip to the side quest section and pick one at random. Side quests are little real-world missions, things like reaching out to a friend you've lost touch with, or trying a new exercise routine. Complete one and you earn rewards like XP, gold, or items. Skip it and there's no penalty at all. Jot a quick note about it on your quest log page so that you remember to do it. And also, right after the map, you'll find the Adventure Notes page. That's a place where you can note any active side quests, along with clues or marking locations, and just generally leaving yourself any notes or reminders about the world you're traveling through. As you move around the map, you have 2 main goals. First, scattered across Glimmerwood are 4 corrupted guardians, each holding a soul shard. Free all 4 and collect their soul shards. Then, the second goal is to progress to the bottom right corner of the map, where you will have your final encounter with the main villain, the Darkness. That's how the journey ends, but there's a lot of growing to do first. Now, some encounters involve a fight. Every combat encounter shows you the foe's level and the foe's resolve, and it comes with 2 tools, a combat table and a roll tracker. Step 1 is always the resolve check. Compare your resolve to the enemies. If your resolve is equal to or higher than theirs, you may fight. If it's lower, you can't engage, you have to flee, and you lose 4 HP as you retreat. So those practices you've been keeping, this is where they pay off. If you can fight, go to the combat table. Find your level on one side and the foe's level on the other. Where they meet, you'll see two numbers. The top number is the threshold, the number you need to meet or beat on a 20-sided die to win. The number in parentheses below is how much damage you take each time you fail a roll. Let's give a quick example. Say you and a goblin you're facing are both level 1. The table gives a threshold of 10 and damage of 4. So you roll an 8 first. That's too low. You don't exceed the threshold, so you lose 4 HP. You roll again and get a 6. Still short. Another 4 HP gone. Then finally you roll a 12. Success, the goblin falls. So you missed twice and lost 4 HP each time, 8 in total. Now you only take damage on the rolls that you miss. You keep rolling until you win, until you choose to flee, or until your HP hits 0. As you collect gear, the fight tilts in your favor, and that's what the roll tracker is for. Take the threshold from the table and subtract your attack to get the actual number that you need to roll, your target roll. And likewise, take damage and subtract your defense to get what damage you take per missed roll. Tally your missed rolls, multiply that by the per roll damage, and you've got your total. One more wrinkle. If you see a little ×2 next to the roll tracker, that foe is tougher. You have to meet or beat your target twice before it goes down. Win, and you claim the encounter's rewards, usually XP or gold or items, and then you turn that slash into an X. Flee mid-fight, and you take an extra 4 HP hit and walk away with nothing, though you can always return later. Just a quick bit of strategy. Pick your battles. Fighting something far above your level can be catastrophic. Hunt foes more close to your own level, win, grow stronger, and work your way up. Combat lives inside what the book calls trial encounters, dice-based challenges. Most of those are combat encounters, but there are a couple that are a little bit different, that might ask you to roll a dice to meet a certain number, and then based on if you succeed or fail, an outcome will occur. If you face a trial encounter like that, then you only get one chance to beat it. But there are 3 other kinds of brown outlined encounters, and they're generally much friendlier. First, traders. When you find a trader, you can spend gold on potions, weapons, gear, stuff like that. Mark each purchase with an X, subtract the gold from your purse, and add the item to your inventory on your character sheet. You can buy each item from a given trader only once, but you can return to a trader that you found anytime to grab something that you might have skipped before. And you can never spend into the negative. If you can't afford it, you can't buy it. Items matter in combat. For example, a sword will raise your attack, a shield might raise your defense. So update your stats whenever you gear up, and also feel free to use single-use items like potions whenever you need them. The second type of encounter are spell encounters. These reward you with spell scrolls, and spell scrolls are one of the things that makes Just Roll With It really unique. Every spell is a real science-backed principle dressed in fantasy. We will cover spells and how to use them in the Arcanum section of this video. And finally, Guardian encounters, which we mentioned earlier. Each of the 4 corrupted guardians asks you to complete a specific activity to free them. Succeed, and they'll hand you a soul shard, which then you can record on your character sheet. Collect all 4, head to square H13, and you're ready for the finale. Okay, the Arcanum. This is the part of the journal that people tend to find most confusing, so let's take it slowly, and let me say the most important thing first. The Arcanum is completely optional. The core of Just Roll With It never changes. Just write down a few practices, do them, update your resolve. The Arcanum sits on top of that to make your habits stronger. But if it ever feels like too much, you can use it a little or not at all and still finish your journey. So relax, there's nothing here that you can break. Let's start with the simplest question. What is a spell? In this journal, a spell is just a proven real-world technique for building habits. Every spell scroll is based on actual published research. You'll even see the citations printed at the bottom. So casting a spell isn't just make-believe. It means taking a technique that genuinely works, like pairing a new habit with a clear trigger and applying it to one of your real practices. The Arcanum is made up of 3 pieces, and it's worth seeing them as separate before we kind of connect them. First, the constellation. Each class has its own, laid out like a star-like map. Every spell sits on 3 connected nodes, and each node has a little rune. Those same runes appear on your hero's map. That's the game telling you where you need to go to find that spell scroll. Second, the spell book. A set of squares where you can write down in your own words what a spell is about. That's your personal reference. You'll come back to it again and again. Third, the Arcanum cards. Each card holds one of your practices, just one habit, plus the spells that you've applied to it, and a row of circles to count how many times you've done that practice. The constellation is the map of spells. The cards are where spells meet your actual life. Every spell is mastered in 3 steps: learn, cast, and review. And each step fills in one of those 3 nodes. Let's walk through a real one all the way through so that it's a bit more concrete. We'll use the first spell that most people find, the spell of the habit loop. Step 1 is learn. You read the scroll, then summarize its core ideas in your own words in a spellbook square. The habit loop's idea is simple. Every habit has a cue that triggers it, a routine, the behavior itself, and a reward that sort of makes it stick. You might write exactly that in a sentence or 2. Then you'll fill in the learn node for that spell in your constellation. That's it. You've learned the spell. Step 2 is cast, the heart of the whole system. Casting means actually binding a spell to one of your practices and rewriting how you do it. Quick distinction, you'll see on every scroll that spells come in 2 types. Form spells, which change the behavior itself, its shape, its timing, and support spells, which don't change the behavior directly, they change the ground around it, your environment or your mindset. The habit loop is a form spell, so here's the cast action. Say your practice is to run. You take the habit loop and give it a cue, a routine, and a reward. For example, the cue might be you leave your shoes by the door and put them on right after your morning coffee. The routine could be run for 15 minutes, start small, and the reward could be something like a hot shower. You write that onto the practice's Arcanum card in pencil so that you can tweak it if you need to, and then fill in the cast node. The vague wish I should run more just became a more concrete, repeatable ritual. One rule trips almost everyone up, so let me say it plainly. You can cast the same spell on as many practices as you like. The habit loop can shape your running, your reading, and your meditating all at once, but you only fill its cast node once. The constellation tracks how many different spells you've put to work, not how many times you've used each one. So casting one spell on 5 practices still just fills one node. Don't expect the stars to fill up faster than they do. That's working as intended. Step 3 is review, and it's the step that people often skip. Once you've done a practice with that spell on it around 10 times, and that's what the little circles at the bottom of the card are counting, you pause and reflect. Is the cue actually triggering you to act, or are you just ignoring it? Is the reward something you generally look forward to? Change whatever isn't working. Maybe morning runs keep losing to a rush schedule, so you move the cue to lunchtime. So you note that on the card and you fill in the review node. Learn, cast, and review. All 3 nodes filled and you've officially mastered that spell. Mastering spells moves you up a track that's printed on the constellation. You start out as a novice, master 2 full spells, all 3 nodes each, and you'll become a journeyman. Master 2 more and you are a master. This isn't just a title. Some encounters out in the realm actually check your mastery tier and reward you for it. So the inner work of genuinely improving your habits pays off in the story too. Though don't worry, if you're not using the Arcanum, it won't make or break your experience. Once you've got a few Arcanum cards with practices written on them, how do you actually decide what to do each day? 2 ways. You can simply choose the ones that you feel called to, totally fine, or you can let the dice decide. And this is where that little roll box on each card comes in. Give the card a number, its roll trigger. Then each morning roll a 20-sided die against it. If you meet or beat the number, then that practice is on for today. Write it in your quest log and do it. As a rough guide, a low threshold like 5 comes up with about 6 days a week. A threshold of 10, about 4, and 15, about twice. Low thresholds for habits you want often, high thresholds for occasional ones. It turns your routine into a little daily roll of the dice, which, well, is the whole spirit of the thing. And you might be wondering why you would want to use this. Well, there are clearly some habits that you don't want to do every day. Like if one of your habits is socializing, you're not going to be trying to hang out with friends every single day. That would be a little overwhelming, likely, unless you're super extroverted. But use that roll threshold on things that you might only want to do a couple times a day or where variability is important to actually making it a lasting, impactful habit. Now, a few freedoms to close out. Your cards are living documents, so write in pencil and rewrite them whenever a practice goes stale. You can stack up to 3 spells on a single practice as you grow. And if you ever find a scroll that isn't on your class's constellation but you really want it, you can always multi-class, which is basically just adopting a second class's constellation and using both of them. That's a more advanced move, so just file it away for now. And that's the Arcanum. Learn a spell, cast it on a real habit, review, and adjust. Do that even once, and you've turned this journal from a tracker into an actual habit-building engine. But if you'd rather keep it simple, your practices and your resolve are always more than enough. One last thing, because it'll probably happen at least once. What if your HP hits 0? If you ever reach 0 HP, turn to the Phoenix Rising page at the end of the quest log section. It gives you your options for rising again, whether that's resurrecting your hero or starting fresh with a new character. Failing isn't the end of the journey, it's just part of it. So that's the whole arc. You found your calling and chose a class, you set your practices, every day you write them down, do your best, and let your resolve rise. You explore the map, meet what it throws at you, build real magic out of real habits, and when you fall, you rise again. And remember the line printed throughout the book. This system is yours to shape. Use what serves you, change what doesn't. The goal is to grow, the rules are just there to help. That's everything you need to begin. The realm is laid out in front of you, ready to be explored, discovered, and liberated. And the hero it's waiting for is you. So go on. Open the book and just roll with it.